Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Talk with Sorintan Haure on Indigenous Hills Network. It's good to have you all here. This evening, we will be discussing a very important topic, a very important issue which we have been facing since last year. We all know that the ongoing conflict in Manipur has had adverse impact on many communities, individuals, families, and society, and even the state, and even outside the state of Manipur as well. We would like to share opinions on a certain section of people this evening. We have heard, we have seen incidences where hundreds or even thousands of women folk, innocent children, has been affected by this ongoing conflict. This evening, we will be discussing about the impact of this conflict on the women and children, the innocent one who suffers, who has been suffering due to this ongoing conflict. This evening, I have three special guests to discuss this issue in depth, and through them, we'll be able to gather information which will enlighten us, and hopefully, through this kind of discussion, we will be able to shed some light on the path to solve this issue and also to end this conflict peacefully. This evening, I have three ladies, three intellectuals who are a champion of the human rights, who are a champion of the rights of women and also children. I would like to introduce one after another, and then we shall start with the discussion. First of all, I have here Ms. Ritu Konsam. She is a research scholar at Ashoka University. Thank you so much, Ritu, once again for joining our show. Thank you. And I have Ms. Breeze Kim Naitem Lungdim. She is at the moment uh, an independent interdisciplinary researcher and activist. She has been closely associating with the displaced people since the 3rd of May 2023. She also writes documents for martyr stories, poems, and for human rights defenders, etc. Thank you so much, Brice, for joining us this evening. It's a pleasure having you. And lastly, but not the least, I have Ms. P.F. Manini. She is also a research scholar at Manipur University. Thank you so much, Manini, for joining us once again. It's a pleasure hosting the three of you in this discussion. And I believe and I hope that through this kind of interaction, through this kind of discussion, we will be able to have a better understanding about the situation which we have had since the 3rd of May, and then we'll be able to understand one another in a much better way. All right, so let us start with this discussion. First of all, I'd like to ask Ritu. Ritu, recently, a very unfortunate incident happened in Manipur, which is the killings of innocent women and children. Um, yes, since the 3rd of May 2023, many lives has been lost, and due to this conflict, uh, the lives of thousands of people has been affected. But when we are hopeful of a solution to be brought, we are seeing things which we never expected, which is innocent people, innocent women and children being killed in this ongoing conflict. How do you feel about this? Do you think the killings of these women folk and children is justified because of this ongoing conflict? Kindly, um, just before we move on to in depth of this conversation, kindly let us know how this, in your experience, or if there are any incidences which you have witnessed, kindly narrate us the impact of this ongoing conflict to the women and children. Kindly take your time, Ritu.
Um, Thank you for the question, Amay. My greetings to my co-speakers. Um, I mean, that news was very devastating, like any death news that has been happening since the beginning of the conflict, right? Um, but my biggest takeaway was, when I came back to after beyond my emotional instability, when something like this affect everyone, all the co-ethnic communities or whatever. My biggest takeaway was that It's high time to reflect on the self. It is high time to reflect on our own actions and not have this mentality that only we are the victims and the other community is the perpetrator. And it goes both sides. Maitai is not the perpetrator always. Maitai is not the victim always. Maitais have committed crime. Maitais have also been at the receiving end of crime. And same goes for the Kukizo community as well. They have also perpetrated crime and have also been at the receiving end. So the question comes up: to what end? Why are we killing each other so much? And the effect is always on the women and children. And the language itself, social science language, like collateral damage and all, sort of takes away the emotions of it. And even the way they categorize conflict, like low intensity, high intensity. Like for example, you can see we are completely invisibilized in this country. The conflict has been going on since last year. Nobody cares. I mean, the entire country is mostly caught up in Palestine, Israel, and I mean, I'm not taking that away. I'm not taking the suffering away, but it's also how people are witnessing witnessing to a crime, witnessing to an armed conflict has a lot of it's always wielded by how media portrays. So, for example, what I found most disturbing and most unjustified in the killing of even and 8-month old infant was not spared. The 8 years old girl was raped multiple times. And in all of this, I was most shocked by the reporting of the media itself. The media reported saying that this was in retaliation to the Meitei armed group burning the village and the woman, Amar woman. And we equally felt what I felt for my community. I felt for that Mar woman as well. But then there was this thing of layering and comparing the suffering of these two communities only through the lens of a labeled identity that has been given by the outsiders, like the labels given by the uh, Indian media since the very beginning, that if it's Kuki, it's the tribal, and tribal equal to oppress, equal to the minority, equal to the victim. And the Meiteis, Hindus. I'm not even a Hindu, but I have become a Hindu. I have been given an identity affiliated to BJP, affiliated to RSS, which is so violent and grotesque, done by the, and there needs to be sheer responsibility by the media as well in wielding and shaping the conflict, because what happens in the ground is very different. Um, and of course, we have to understand, when we are understanding Manipur, that this has always been a weak state. There is no one government. There are always contesting parties to the power, to the authority. There is the present of parallel government. So when a conflict is occurring like as such of this magnitude, then everything is let loose. You don't know who's the authority anymore. Everyone is in arms. Everyone is picking up guns, and everyone's life is threatened, sort of to say. Uh, I know the people from Kukizo side will say that Arambai Tengol is, or like just to spell out the name, Arambai Tengol, or like we might say that the armed Kuki militant. But let me ask one thing, as a woman to woman, like, are we all not facing the brunt of it from the armed men, from our own community men as well? And that's what conflict does. I mean, women right now cannot even speak. We don't know. Forget the politics of the conflict. Forget that the security never stopped this conflict from the very beginning. But it has come to this point that even the armed men has decided what to wear, what not to wear, what to speak. Like that moral policing and using gun to justify every stupid action. And these are most of them who have picked up arms are 2000 born, like we are older than them. They have not even seen the wrath of AFSPA. And now AFSPA is imposed on top of this. And I'm just very fearful of what's going to come now, because yeah, what we this has been to me till now, I maintain that this is an orchestrated violence that is made to perpetuate till now. And the media's violent gaze of pitting one community against the other has completely wasted a lot of time in pointing us towards the right direction of asking who's the real perpetrator.
Okay.
So I would like to begin by saying that.
Okay, Ritu, thank you for sharing your opinion. I'd like to ask you a supplementary question to that. Uh, What would you like to say about the women folk who are actively involved, directly or indirectly contributing towards this conflict? There are some people, there are some women, yeah, as some organizations or individuals who are, encouraging the men folk to this. I mean, on the ongoing conflict. What would you like to say about this? I mean, there are some women individuals who are actively, taking a role, a leadership role or a supporting role on the ongoing conflict. Which means directly or indirectly supporting the killings, supporting the violence against another community. What would you like to say about this leaders, the so-called leaders in the women section, or the supporters of this violence?
Um, because of the state of survival that everyone is pushed to, everyone feels that whether the threat perceived is real or not, everyone feels that we all are attacked. And the established narrative on both sides is that, for the Meitei, they think that the enemy is assumed to be Kukizo, whether it's real or not. So that way, I think there is a friction and dissonance that comes up between two identities: your identity as a woman, as a gender that can cut across communities, and your identity, which is given by your ethnicity, which is Meitei. So in such situation, women, definitely a lot of women have failed perhaps on a very individual level in that war hysteria when pushed to that situation of, insanity, that, we all are threatened as a Meitei community. The Afspa is again, the armed Indian armies are against us, our houses being burned, we are being chased out, there's firing from the hills. So that kind of sanity, I think insanity, that kind of hysteria create a sense of, losing the self, losing the logic, losing even humanity, and thinking that it's only, there's no other way but to kill. So that needs to be reined in, and there are interested parties who constantly keep harping on that kind of, what is that, on that kind of collective hysteria to keep perpetuating on, to keep sustaining.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. All right, Ritu, thank you. I'll come back to you with some other questions later. What you have said is very interesting, but I'll come back to you with some other questions later. Thank you. Breeze, I'd like to come to you. If you can come on, yeah, thank you so much. We have just heard Ritu, yeah, talk about the experiences she have experienced and also the witnesses. I'd like to come to you with a question. Would like you to narrate us the experience since you are in the ground, you have been actively involved with the uh, women and children who has been affected by this ongoing violence. Would like you to narrate us how these innocent children and women have been impacted since the 3rd of May 2023, how their lives have changed because of this ongoing conflict.
Yes, actually, a lot have been changing, especially for the women and children. And like you have said, I've been closely associated with them since 3rd of May 2023, and it's still ongoing. Last night itself, I was with them in one of the relief camps. So, it's even like heart wrenching to talk about it. I tend to see that a lot of them have been depressed as well, mentally, yes, unstable because of whatever they have been facing. And when it comes to relief camps and the daily lives that they have to go on as women, and like little girls growing up, they don't even have privacy. For example,
Right, right.
to take bath in the bathroom or to go for their nature calls. So I tend to also realize that a lot of us have been already normalizing the plights that the displaced people have been facing since last year. And I would like to not only address this to some of us present in this meeting, but to any right-thinking citizen of this country and the whole world, that humanitarian crisis has been happening
Yeah,
in India and in one of its states, Manipur. And the normalization of this is something we as humans must ask ourselves a very, very important question. And when it comes to our country, India itself being the largest democratic country, I cannot understand and fathom that why so something so undemocratic should be like to let it go on for more than 18 months. So the women folks, like there are also a lot of them who are sick physically as well as mentally because of this conflict. And the children, when it comes to the children, a lot of them are also having this poor diet or poor health because of uh, the not so tasty as well as not so good items or like things they have been eating for more than a year.
Yeah.
And I can keep on going, and I also have a lot to say, but when it comes to your question, I think women and children, they have been one of the like categories that have been affected drastically because of this conflict. And whatever happens to them, be it since 3rd of May, like one month old baby Isaac himself like died. And a lot of, I can keep on going with the data and the statistics, but I don't want to talk much about this because they were also humans like you and me once, but now they turn into mere statistics and data. And yeah,
Yeah,
you
thank
can
you.
keep
Yeah,
asking me.
it is indeed very unfortunate and heart wrenching to listen to such stories, such incidents, and this is also the reality of the present as well. I'd like to ask a question, which I asked to Ritu earlier. In Manipur, a group of women, which is called, especially in the Imphal Valley, Meira Paibis. Meira Paibis are known to be, a group of women who who takes active role in peacekeeping, and there has been accusations and allegations that they are taking active role in encouraging this ongoing conflict, ongoing violence as well. Would you say, I mean, in your opinion, what would you want to say about this, the roles and responsibilities which has been taken up by the Meira Paibis of the Meitei community? Are they actively contributing towards this violence, or are they taking up their roles as peacekeepers, as mothers, and help uh, ease up the violence and solve this issue?
The Meira Paibis, they have failed all the women in this whole world, I should say. I must say. And I say this based on facts. And there are also already loads of proofs and videos where they were the one who encouraged and handed over our women, the Kukizo women, to their male or counterparts or their husbands and sons to violate them. And they were also the ones who disrespectfully even checked the IDs of the respected Assam rifles and all. And it is so sad to say that the Meira Paibis, who have been known as the torch bearers, have been instigating violence and encouraging the other gender to violate and do whatever they want on the other women. And I also saw them encouraging each other, and this is war, this is conflict, and it is justifiable. What kind of mentality do they possess? And I feel ashamed to call them as mothers and Meira Paibis. I can't even say that they are torch bearers. Instead, they are bearers of violence and conflicts.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Brice, for sharing your information. I mean, your opinion. It's indeed based on the information you have provided. There has been incidences where um, actions of us has failed. I mean, to being called as torchbearer. With the discussion we are about to move in, we'll be able to gather more information. I'll come back to you, Brice, in a while. For now, yeah, Ritu has raised a hand. I'll come back to you just after I ask a question to Manini, but I'll give you the time later on. Manini, we have just listened to the opinions shared by Ritu and Brice, which are of the, I mean, they belong to Meitei and the Kuki Zol community. We would like to gather information and opinion from different perspective. As a Naga, Manini, yeah, the conflict might be going on between the Meitei community and the Kuki-Zao community, but then um, the Nagas have also been directly or indirectly affected by this ongoing conflict, which is about to be 2 years now. So, in your opinion, or also, yeah, as per your experience, or if there are any incidents which you have witnessed, I would like you to narrate any incidences, or how you see the innocent women folk and the children being affected, being impacted by this ongoing conflict in the Naga context.
Okay. Thank you for the time. I would not say my experiences, but I would share. I'm from Naga community, but I would share how the women of both the communities, because I belong to Manipur. So my people from women and children are facing. Of course, in every conflict and crisis, you have found an experience that even in Israel and Hamas war, there were the women and children are the one who died more than man's fault, and who is the victims of sexual abuse. Even in Second World War, you have find all of these things. So my question, the first question is, what happened to women? It is fine. I found it impossible to think about that. Why women has always been raped? Why women has been used as a commodity, as a war asset, or or a booty for the war? Because in exchange of the retaliations of which the enemies has committed, these people started to think that a cheap woman, someone who is weaker than them, wearing a makhala, and then weaker, and then they found that okay, this is the person that I have to rape in order to retaliate, in order to thirst my vengeance. So I found that numbers you have seen that about 240 plus, according to reports, that have been killed so far in the 18 months. So if we were to calculate, it is rise to 500 days. So when we counted that 60,000 of people were displaced. So just imagine of the calculation. So among them were women and children. Women are paraded naked. Women are raped. Women are being burnt alive. And then women are being abducted. And then remember, 8 months old child was also not spared. So that is the cruel behavior of how our state is. Of course, our state is known for the roles of women. In the past, we have a huge legacy on that. But this 18 months have total and boom, all these legacies have been gone away. So I found that, you have found that in women and children are the one who give birth, women are giving birth in the relief camp and then on the roadside. And then this is the questions of humanitarian crisis. And I would put the word that humanitarian catastrophe, the greatest inhuman treatment towards women and children. So how could these common people are the one who burn the heat of the hour. These politicians, the social workers, the leaders, they speak in the TV, and then they say that we supply the sufficient amount of wealth, the sufficient amount of amenities to the people who stay sheltered in the relief camp. But when we go and experience that, they have faced numbers of no privacy, no proper sanitation, no proper sanitary pads for women. Women have faced a lot of problem. Some have undergo through the rape, their experiences in the Second World War. When in the Second World War, 4.4 million people, 2 million women have been brutally raped consecutively, and then about millions of child were born, illegitimate children were born. But that story is coming to be after some decades. That story is coming to the scariest thing comes after the decades. So this will happen even to Manipur, that those women, I being a woman, I know that how cruel it will be if someone raped me, if some of your mother and sister, and I feel that those people who rape, irrespective of the community they belongs to, those rapists, I feel that they're not born from a mother's womb, because we all are born from a mother's womb. A mother is the one who carried for us 9 months. So this 8 months old child who is living in breastfeeding and lactating is also not spared. And women are being burned alive and raped. So those men has to taught and listen that I feel that this is the humanitarian crisis. And I feel that what happened to this is because we all failed. We all failed as a society, because we all failed, irrespective of Meitei, Kuki, Naga, Pangal Muslim, we are all women. So I put that this is one of the greatest crises in the century of Manipur, so to say.
Right. Money, yeah, indeed, it is very unfortunate, very heart wrenching to listen to the effects and also the the miseries our women folk have to go through. And then, yeah, the war has not ended yet, and we fear that something of this magnitude might happen again, and we don't want this to happen, of course. uh, yeah, at the moment it is between the two communities, which is the Kukizo community and the Meitei community. But I would also like you to shed some lights, share some information on on the impact of on the Naga women folk, also the children, how it has been. I mean, if there are any incidences, for example, I think last year a Mering woman was killed. She was killed in broad daylight. And as such, if there are any examples or any stories, even at the moment, there are, for example, women folk who has been affected economically because they were not able to, continue with the businesses, the small businesses which they used to had. So, if there are anything which the Naga women folk or the children have been impacted, affected by this ongoing crisis, we'd also like to uh, get to know from, through you as well, your opinion on it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, we have heard in the story, we have heard in the news headline that how Nagas are also affected, how women have been, you have seen that, you have seen how women has been tortured, and some women running a business have been undergoing true problem because of the threaten that she got, and then it was online live, and women have been facing a lot of problem. And of course, even in a business wise, women cannot able to carry on business because of the fluctuate curfew and everything that is affecting them. And then ongoing, whenever not only this conflict, whenever this problem started, we have this economic blockade, we have this kind of banning. Manipur is known for banning, and then this conflict has totally affected women. So to say that, I'm not skipping men, but I am saying that
Yeah.
women is more affected in business field because they are the one who is the source of earning in the family. And to the Nagas children also, some of them face, but I'll not put up the name as of now. So yeah, most of them, the problem is faced by the two communities, but Nagas is not left alone. You have heard in numbers of news that women have been tortured, women have been sometimes mistaken as we are either tribal cookies, and then verbally attacking them. There are so many verbal attacks. Even I've experienced from that also, because they have misunderstood as a tribal identity, and so many abusive words also comes out. But so to say, this is a crisis that people have been so frustrated with the 18 months of war. So we tolerate it, but I know the best thing will come out of it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Manini. Yeah, it is a fact that, yeah, the Naga women folk, the children of Naga belonging to the Naga community, has also been affected by this ongoing conflict. So it is not just the since we're living together in a state, it is not just the two communities who have been affected by it. There were incidences where our women folk were physically assaulted as well. Yeah, like you mentioned earlier, and there's this fear psychosis in our mind that because of this ongoing conflict, we are not living the natural way which we were living together earlier. Right, Ritu. Yeah, I'd like to come back to you. Raised your hand earlier. Is there anything you want to respond to what Brice said earlier, and then I'll ask you another question. So just before I ask you, you
No,
may, yeah, take some time.
okay, thank you. No, regarding Meira Paibis as well, I think this is a perfect time to reconfigure, and it's actually it's giving all of us a reality check. I think even please know that I'm not defending them. I'm right against what Meira Paibi have been doing since the beginning of the conflict. But it's also making me think that it is too much to ask of the Meira Paibi, who are mostly Delhi bred earner, who are mostly not educated, and it's a systematic failure. So it obviously, we are a deeply patriarchal society. And Meira Paibi, although from the portrayal it has been always that they are the agent of feminism, women empowerment, deep down we all knew that feminist consciousness has never always been lacking in there. For them, it's always been bargaining with the military forces. For them, they have always been acting as the fact that they are called imas is completely, it shows the lack of power they have as women. If they were the agent, like in the empowered women, they would have been, Meira Nupi, or Meira Paibi Nupi, not Ima. The fact that, most in armed conflict, or in most societies where women can only negotiate their space as mother, shows that we can only look up to them, respect them only when they desexualize themselves and they become a maternal figure. So that speaks a lot. And then Meira Paibi came up only as a buffer, sort of um, the buffer force between the local armed men insurgents and the external occupying force. So for them to and after, when there was a period of after post 2004, when after Manorama rape and death happened, when the force was revoked, when AFSPA was revoked from Imphal, Greater Imphal, from Imphal Kangla, there was a period of seemingly peaceful, where there was not many killing and raping of women. And that time Meira Paibi negated from that space of being the torchbearer to becoming moral policers. So this is something that has always, something that has always gone without checking.
Okay.
I would like to list a comparative note here. I came across a article by Professor Amarjit, written on the indirect political space politics of Mar women. So these Mar women, they are, most of them are working women, educated women who come from elite spaces, but they want to do something for the community. That is something that is lacking in Meitei community, because most of the Meira Paibis are just, people who are just earning 20 rupees, 30 rupees, 50 rupees on a daily basis.
Okay.
There is a lot of sensitization that needs to be done, and there's too much to keep on them, to place on them. I feel the people who are at fault are those who are educated and who have completely, stayed in their cocoon and never came out to take any responsibility, to take any lead role in the society, and that's where we are failing.
Okay.
That's something that I wanted to point
Yeah,
out.
Ritu. Yeah, yeah. It's very interesting that you have pointed out that. But considering the opinion which you have shared just now, do you think the Meira Paibis are, engaging or involved in this violence, um, influenced by some other people or so-called leaders who are using them as a group to incite violence, or use them as, because of the tag of the Meira Paibis, or as women? Do you think in any way, they could have been used to incite violence? Or also kindly share if there are anything which the Meira Paibis could have done better in order to pacify this ongoing issue.
There is a lot that could have been done differently. I would put it that way. Firstly, something that I witnessed, which there's nothing to be hidden about it. There's nothing to shy away from saying this, and this is something very shamefully that I admit. Also, that I saw witness was the resignation letter of the chief minister. There was, and I felt that it was, everyone knew that it was a performative act, and a lot of women were used and instrumentalized to, to sort of stop that kind of resignation. And now, of course, one can go on and on questioning, are they really not, are they not capable of taking decision on their part? Are they able to take decision? What are the forces that are most scared of? Are they too desperate to think that, somebody can actually save somebody, like, the government, the present government, who have actually caused a lot of, this whole mayhem? So there's a lot of, what ifs and what don't, what not could not have been, what could have been avoided. I would like to put it this way also, Amay, that, women from the very beginning have always just been present in our politics in Manipur, be it Naga, Kuki, or Meitei, as people who make tea for the men who sit at the table and discuss. And we are just there to cook and make tea. And then I think there will come a time when literally the boiling pot will be shoved on their faces. And I think that time is about time right now, because a lot of everything is done on ethnic lines. But women's identity is always at the collateral damage, and always at the point where they are being used and instrumentalized. But when it comes to taking the real decisions, women are always neglected.
Okay.
So I think this is also a time when, if I wish that, across communities, if women could come up, doesn't have to be like, we can't keep depending on mothers all the time. their political situation was very different. It was a time of AFSPA, it was a time of, keeping the men safe. But now I think it's high time that women of our age, women who are having a lot of feminist consciousness and who also realize the politics of the local regional politics, come up and start talking amongst each other.
Right.
Because yeah, it's high time a new political uh, turn comes and not just depend on mothers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ritu, yeah, we will discuss that in the later part. But just before that, I want to discuss about the killings of the innocent women and children. Do you think, yeah, we have been using this word collateral damage as if our women fault, our innocent children are objects, like this is how it should be, as if this is something natural. Do you think these killings and the sufferings faced by the women folk and innocent children, do you think this is justified? Do you think the killings of these innocent people are justified in this kind of violence? What could have been done differently to avoid such things? Do you think retaliating one another, killing the innocents, do you think this is justified in these modern times?
No killing is justified, Amay. And one killing should not shadow another killing. Like to the families, I can't even imagine what the husband must be feeling. I saw the video of that husband who lost his entire family. And I mean, let's talk sense now. They were abducted from relief camp, and the next day, one of my friends who's from Chuchanpur, who's staying at the camp herself, she called me. She's like, "What do I answer to my daughter? My daughter is saying, Mama, is relief camp not safe? Where do we go now?" I mean, these are really heavily loaded questions that the mother is in a is pushed to that position to answer. Um, and we are talking about people like Breeze also mentioned about the mental depression or like anxiety. Everything is triggering to them. Literally, they are living a life in a prison like situation where in the mic they will be announced, please come, fall in line for the lunch, and they fall in line, and then in one plate, in one line, they will be waiting for the dal and rice. That's what they have been surviving on, as if losing their home and being in this place was not enough, that they got abducted from the relief camp. And how can any armed people, and forget the ethnicity before the armed men, be it Meitei or Kuki, how can anybody abduct anyone right from the relief camp right under the nose of the CRPF? That is a complete failure of the people in security, in the military men who are supposed to guard the people. I mean, they were not in buffer zone. They didn't go into any. Already the state is divided into LOC, borderline, and they didn't even go into any of that. They were just in the relief camp. How did they even get managed? How did they get abducted? That's a big question, and that's what the state is failing to answer.
Okay.
And that's the most mind-boggling thing for me.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I was gonna say something, but I lost my thought. But
All
I
right, no
would come
problem.
back
I'll come
quickly.
back to you later, Ritu. Yep, I think most of us agree that there's security lapses. Also, the state's law and order has breakdown, and then it is as if there is no law and order because we see many, of course, in the menfolk carrying arms and ammunition as if the state of Manipur is an anarchy. It seems as if there is no security at all. We'll discuss that in a later part. Breeze, I'd like to come back to you. We have just heard from Ritu that, yeah, nobody deserves to be killed. Every life is equal. And of course, while we were discussing about the recent killings, it has been alleged and accused that the perpetrators are from the Kuki Zo community. Do you think this kind of killings, this savagery, is it necessary? Is it bound to happen? Does it really need to happen? And the Cookie Zo community women folk, what are their roles and responsibilities in this kind of incident, in this kind of time. What do you think the women folk of the Cookies community should be doing at this juncture?
By the recent incident, do you mean what happened in Jiribam?
Yes,
Okay,
the killing of the
so
innocent women and children who were abducted from the relief camp, and their body were found later in the days. Yeah.
this is my clear-cut message to the Maydays that they started everything and they expect us to be mute and mere spectators. This is one thing they have to correct because Jiribam incident happened after our fellow woman Zo Sang Kim was shot, taken out from her own home, mutilated and burned to death. So did the Métis expect us to just sit and just like digest that thing?
Okay.
I've been
So you meant
telling
to
this
say
again and again.
this? Okay. So do you mean to say this is an act of revenge, or and that if there's, I mean, if you kill us, we'll kill you? Is that the kind of, I mean, the practice, the kind of practice, or the kind of ideology which has been followed by the Cookies community?
This has been continuing since the 3rd of May. The first victim from this violence itself was Pastor Sikho Kipgen from Kuki community. He was killed on the evening of 3rd May itself. He was chased and brutally beaten to death by more than 10 Meitei men, I should say. Yes, the video was also there. He himself was already a married man who had his own children, but he shouted helplessly, shouting out Henu Henu, which means mother, mother. So the way someone died itself was such brutal way, and we are not ready to accept that as something. Oh, he died, let it go. So before we always have to think that there is always karma and there's always reaction to whatever we do. I also feel bad for the Meiteis who were taken out from the relief camps, and yes, whatever happened to them, I feel bad. But why did that happen? Let us go back. Zo Sang Kim herself was inside her home. She herself was not safe inside her home. That was the question itself.
Okay. Yeah. So, according to the opinion which you just shared, it happened as a retaliation to what happened to one of the Kuki women. I mean, what? Is it Ma, right? All right. My second question to you is, what are the roles and responsibilities of the women folk, the women organizations of the Cookie Zo community in this kind of incidences, in this kind of just, I mean, the killings of the innocents, not the men folk in the front line, not those men with the arms, shooting at one another, but abducting the innocent people and killing the innocent ones. Take as if, I mean, they don't pose any threat. In my opinion, they don't pose any threat to the men with arms and ammunition, but abducting and killing. Yeah, this goes to both the communities, not just the Meitei community or the Kuki community. What do you think, in your opinion, are the roles which could be taken up by the women folk, especially the organizations and the leaders in this kind of incidences, in order to bring peace, of course?
We the cookies have a lot of women groups as well. Out of those, I can mention that KWU and KWOHR, and not only them, a lot of the women have been playing positive roles. Even last year, when the violence started, when the Meiteis in Churchampur were to be evacuated, it was the women folk who formed human chain and stop some of the armenians who were full of anger who tried to attack the Meiteis. But it was the our women leaders and women folk of the town who formed human chain and protected the Meiteis, and the Meiteis were
Yeah,
safely
yeah,
evacuated.
yep.
We have been playing positive roles since the conflict started, but the opposite happens from the other community, be it the Meira Paibis and all. And I can proudly say that our mothers and our women and our sisters from our community never ever encourage our men to violate or rape Meitei women.
Okay. All right. Just one last question on this particular topic, Brice. So you mentioned earlier about retaliation. You mentioned earlier about not staying mute as a mute spectator to incidences which happen, for example, killing of innocent people. So, do you think the women folk of the Kuki community, the Kuki Zo community, thinks it is justified to retaliate and kill innocent people, especially women and children?
It is not about justification or whatever. It is about survival, and we do not think, be it the women or the male or men from any gender from our community, we do not think that we can be administered same or under the same umbrella with, under this Meitei government. So I think you all must be aware that we have been demanding separate administration in the form of union territory according to our constitution. So this is the only justice we want. Until unless this is attained, whenever there is something from the other community, we will also come with response, because we have been silent and we have been defending ourselves, but our kindness and humanitarian level have been taken as weakness by the other community. And what if we want this to stop? Like I said, this is not just a violence or a conflict. It's already a humanitarian crisis. It's the failure of democracy in the largest democratic country. So every right-thinking citizen must come together, and we should fight for justice. And what we want is not any kind of justice, but political justice.
Okay. All right. So the ultimate goal of the Kukizo community is, as per your comment, the separate administration as the ultimate solution to the ongoing conflict. That's what you meant. I'll come back to you with that to take your opinion. Ritu, just raise your hand. I'd like you to give a short comment on that, and then I'll come back to Manini. Kindly, Ritu, take your time.
Um, I think this is, I would like to stress again, this is what I meant from the very beginning when I established my talk, that, we have to really seriously self reflect, and we cannot keep assuming this mentality that only we are the victims and the other person is always the perpetrator. The even the onset of the conflict, I mean, it's so, I don't know, it's one thing that I find it very difficult to understand. How is it possible that from as a Meitei, or forget being a Meitei, as an individual, I can see what is wrong and right within my done by my community, uh, right and wrong both, and done by even the other community, what is right and wrong. Why is it so difficult for a lot of Kukizo community who claim to be human rights activists, who claim to be scholars? Why can't they see? Why can't they call out? I mean, we even have a politician and a scholar from the Kukizo community who is asking for AFSPA to be back. What does that mean? How do you even comprehend that? And
Mhm.
secondly, the logic that Breeze just gave of, she didn't say that it's justification, but she used the logic of retaliation and revenge.
Right.
To what end? How are we going to keep ending, like, in that you have your own narrative, and it's one event, but there are two strong opposing narratives. I by default as a Maite will always fall back to my narrative, you will fall back to your narrative. But then how long, to what cost, to keep saying this, and then to keep killing each other and make the women and the children scapegoats? For how long are we going to continue that?
Yeah. Ritu,
Just
her
for
opinion was that their ultimate goal, their demand is for the separate administration, and that until and unless that is given, this ongoing conflict, the
two things,
violence,
Amay.
it might keep on happening. So, oh yeah, your short comment on that.
Yeah, two things, Amay. First of all, separate administration is not a thin line. Like they all say that it's like a neatly packaged word that, you can just put it on a paper and everything is going to be done. It is going to be a segregation, a bloody segregation of families. So many families are separated, living in different relief camps of Meitei and Kuki, husband and wife. That's one thing. What do you answer to them? And right now, it's already separated. You can see how it's, if it even if it gets formalized, we know how dangerous it's going to be. That means the people of Kangpupi, Meitei, who have been chased out from Kangpupi, from More, from Churchanpur, from Iko, they are going to lose their homes forever. And what about the cookies also, who are talking of wanting to return home to
Okay.
their place?
Yeah,
right?
Ritu,
And
I'll come back to you on the separate administration in a while, right? I mean, how that is, I mean, the ultimate solution to this ongoing conflict according to the Kukizo community. I'll come back to you. I'll just ask Manini. Breeze, yeah, I see that you have raised your hand, but give me a few minutes. Let me just take an opinion from Manini. Manini, according to Breeze and Ritu, we've just heard your opinions on the ongoing conflict. But I'd like to hear your comment on what Brice just said earlier. Um, the killings are an act of retaliation, right? That if any person, be it innocent or be it in the front line, if any member, if any individual is killed in the ongoing conflict, then the Kukizo community might retaliate because they are not going to see stay as a mere spectator, a mute spectator. Do you think this, if this keeps on going, do you think this is the ultimate, solution? Do you think this will ease the path to peaceful resolution of the ongoing conflict? Do you think killing of innocents from both the sides will, I mean, if this is keeps on happening, how do you think it will end? Do you think the innocent will keep on suffering?
Okay, that is a very interesting question. There is bad things in this conflict is we have a very sectarian and communal mindset because the word retaliation, I think Manipur people has not been enough with the Second World War consequences of all how people have been suffered. I think they don't see how Ukraine and Russia is suffering because of how the retaliation policy, where the common people are the one who get all of those things, the heat of it. So we cannot say that in retaliation of that, I'm doing committing that. I think there is no justification, non-justifiable to whatever killings is. Killing is killings, murder is murder, wrong is wrong, right is right. And murder and killings of the innocent people cannot be called as a right thing or justifiable, no matter what the community belongs to. And I think this is not the right thing because the life itself is we cannot create. Once our breath is gone, then everything is gone. And I think life itself is made by God. If we could able to make a life, then we could kill and we could do it that. But history has taught us enough that I think killing is not enough. We cannot tell to our own community that somebody did it and we just did it that. I think this is not, we are all belongs to one particular religion. I belong to Christianity. And according to my Christian perspective, vengeance is not what we followed because to my principle. I know that every one of us have a religion, but this kind of sectarian policy and communalistic mindset that we started to preoccupied with our own narratives that that person has committed, so I have to do this. So if we keep on doing so that the common people has died for 240s, then do we want to increase to 300 or 500 people to make a history that Manipur people has killed in the conflict 500 people in the history? So after that history of 5 years down the line, you will, our parents and we will remember, a generation will remember that how stupid are we in killing one another,
Okay.
right? The World War has taught us that how stupid is when America bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that generation has been bombed and how people suffered, right? And Ukraine and Russia is the same. So this gun culture we have to by any means stop it because we belongs to a certain religious group. So if we follow certain particular religion, then we have to focus on how to bring peace, not by supporting any of the community. That's what I believe in
Yeah,
India.
Manini, yeah, very interesting points from you. I'd like to ask you another question on this particular topic. The Naga community has remained neutral in this ongoing conflict so far. Do you think, yeah, like I've said earlier, there were incidences where the Naga people have been assaulted and even killed, but then the Naga community has not retaliated. We have not taken side on either side of the communities. Do you think this is a correct decision by the leaders of the Naga community, or and there has been accusations, allegations that the Naga community has not, for example, sided with the tribal people. I mean, this accusation is from the Kukizo community, and also the so-called the tech which has been used is from the Meitei community is that the Naga community has not sided with the indigenous people, so on and so forth. These are the kind of accusations and allegations that has been going around. So do you think the Naga community being neutral is, has been the best decision taken by the Naga leaders, the Naga community, or do you think there could have been a better decision to be taken?
Of course, I think neutrality should not be misunderstood as not working at all. Many of them misunderstood that the Naga standing as a neutral position is not doing anything at all. But since we have been working so much to bring something solution, but the community itself is so sectarian that they are blaming one another, and Nagas is in a big brain position that how will we do this? Recently, I have made a statement and where I made a very neutral statement without supporting one particular community or the others, but on the women and children. Some of the community get hurt because they thought that I would support the other community. That kind of position is there. So I feel that neutrality is very important for the Nagas as well. At the same time, Nagas also has to forge forward to work forward how to bring peace, and we have to. Of course, we're working, but we have to work more on the possession of how we could able to bring amicable solution within the two communities. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Manini. Yeah, very interesting and important points from you. I'll come back to you just before that. Breeze, you raised your hand earlier. Is there a comment you want to put forward? Is it about the Ritu's comment earlier? Please take your time.
Ritu said that she knows the mistakes committed and perpetrated by her community. So knowing only is not enough. So you know what the Meira Paibis have been doing. So where are they now? Are they behind bars for like being the middlemen or women of this violence, like handing over a women? Knowing it all is not only enough. We have to act. And I would like to say that whoever does not want us to get separate administration, I will take that as a sign of you all wanting us to keep shedding our blood and making us live with fear. Even Article 21 of our Constitution talks about right to life and personal liberty. So where is our right to life and personal liberty? It is not that we simply want to be separated from Manipur. This is a need, NEED need, not just a wish. And we are forced to demand this for the well-being of the present and the future.
Okay. All right. Breeze, yeah, a supplementary question on that. Do you think what Manini said earlier could be practical, because most of the Kukizo community, I think almost, are Christians? Do you think implementing the Christianity principle in a war, in a conflict, is practical? Like being forgiving, not being not taking revenge, not retaliating to incidences. Do you think this is practically possible as Christians in a war?
In the Bible, Moses also fought for his people. David also fought for his people. We have been forgiving, but when our forgiveness is taken as weakness, how long can we forgive? This is a question not only to a particular community, but to every right-thinking citizen of this world.
Okay.
And like I said, the other community may be perpetrating this, and since the beginning, they were the one who started it. So how long should we remain silent? If
Mhm.
you don't want this to continue, don't start it. We have been defending ourselves. We don't attack. We have been defending ourselves. And about this Jiribam incident itself, if I'm not mistaken, it was in the month of August that there was a peace agreement between the Métis and the people living in Jiribam. But just in the month of November, Zion village was attacked, burned, and Zosangkim, who had 3 small children, she left her children in such a brutal way. So you started everything and you expect us to, what do you expect us to? We should just sit at home and cry, that's it?
Okay. Yeah. So, Brice, you meant to say you are retaliating to what has been done to your community, right? I have one question to you. There has been allegations, accusations that the state of Manipur, especially the security forces, are colluding with the so-called organizations, the Meitei organization, for example, Arambai Tangol, or their underground groups, that they are uh, colluding against your community, which is the Kuki Zo community. Do you think this is correct, and that the Kuki community is fighting not just against a particular community but against a state. Is that a statement? I mean, is that statement true according to your opinion?
By the state, if you mean the Biren government, of course, if the state was not helping since 3rd of May, this violence or conflict would have already stopped on the evening of May itself. But the state has been sponsoring and witnessing everything. And this happens under the regime of Biren and his friends and whoever. And when it comes to the center force like the CRPF, we all know the fact. I don't even have to repeat because this is a very bad thing. The volunteers of Jairon village, they were not there to attack the CRPF, but the CRPF were hand in gloves with the Arambai Tangos and the Meitei militants.
Okay. All right.
And our
Yeah.
volunteers
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
and our volunteers brutally died. Their eyes were plucked out. At least we as the community respect the dead body. But the other community, they even disrespect the dead people. This is even at least war has ethics, right? Where is ethics during this violence or conflict in Manipur?
Yeah. Brice, yes, I got your point. I understand that. Then what about the killing of the innocent women and children and even, toddlers? What would you like to say about that?
Like I said, after Jo Sang Kim was brutally killed, mutilated, raped, and then even her heart was burned, her body was burned beyond recognition. And after Jairon, peaceful Jairon village was attacked and burned. So the children and the women from the Meiteis were killed after that.
Okay.
So I want to say that if Jairon was not attacked and Zosang Kim did not die that way, these things would not happen.
So okay. So in your opinion, retaliation is justified in war. Is that what you meant to say?
Pardon?
According to your opinion, retaliation, killing of whether innocent or whether being at war or wherever it may be, during war, retaliation is justified. Is that what you believe in?
Zosang Kyung was also innocent,
Right, right.
right?
Yeah.
So you kill her. What's the difference? We are all human beings.
Okay. All right. I got your point. Thank you. I'll come back to
I don't
just.
have to answer this one. I don't have to answer.
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to know if the retaliation is justified as per your opinion. Ritu, just one question. I mean, as per Brice's opinion, she has been mentioning that the Kukizo community are defending. They are not on the attacking side. It is always the Meitei community who keeps on attacking the innocent people, attacking their territory. Do you think this statement of hers is correct? Do you think the Kuki community doesn't attack the Meitei community?
Um, I mean, just a basic logic. Clapping happens with both hands. One hand cannot clap, right? And I speak this as a reporter. I reported from ground from May 9th. I can give two cases. Laitan Pokpi village. The entire village, one family, only the father was not shot. Three daughters, his wife, and his son were all shot by Kukizo, and all the houses were burnt. I still have it in my phone. But tit for tat is a logic that I don't believe in. For whatever reason, it has happened. And even if I have to hold on to all the testimonies that I have heard from people from More, Kangpokpi, Iko, Chuchanpur, they have their own truth. And I respect that. What, according to them, the first attack, they all were going for rally. The rally stopped at 10, around noon, and they told all the Meitei people to shut their shops. And after a while, they started pelting stones at them and burning their shops. This is their testimony. How do I deny? Because I was not there, and I believe what they say. And very interestingly, what the people who have been staying in the hills have also said that this is not the first time. In ILP time, we left our home and we ran away. We are always living in a constant fear and constant state of fear, flight or fight, because the administration, the state government does not reach in those areas. We all know who rule those areas, right? Illegal house tax, and constant harassment on shopkeepers. There is even, as you know, how controlled it is by the armed government is that they even have Lushai Hardware Association, where they collect tax only from Meiteis. And these are, hard, the violence. That's what I'm saying. We need to, there's normalization of violence from the very beginning in Manipur. The outbreak happened right now. The outbreak happened right now, but this has been nurtured in a political situation of Manipur where counterinsurgency is always in the back of our hand, where they're pitting one community against the other for their whatever strategical politics, where one and they're also subnational and national homeland demands. So this is us, and where especially a weak state where rule of law or authority is not in the possession of one government. It is always contested by all armed groups. So if I have to listen to the Meiteis who were displaced, they have their own, they to them in their memories of that night. The first man who died was from Torbung. And again, when I went to Hongman side where there's a Tangkul village and a Kuki village above, and there's the Meitei village, I forget the name. And they said, this is not the first time that Kuki miscreants have always, they have destroyed our stone where we keep for worship. They'll come, they'll shit on it, they'll spit on it. They've always disrespected us. And this time there was a nurse from that village where they said that, we have to leave. She warned them. So giving a hint that, this was something, at least for that village, particular village, this is something that they knew that this was going to happen. And again, when we come about peace agreement, right? I was in Sugnu on May 16, May 8, and just before it got burned. So till May 16, it was so tense. But people were like, I spoke to Mr. I forget the name, Mr. Haukip. He was the ex MLA of Sugnu side, and the present Congress MLA Ranjit. So they and the Anal community of that area. So Sugnu is in the right at the tri junction of Naga community, Meitei community, and Kukizo community, and so all of that. And so they formed a pact, a community agreement, a peace agreement that if from radicals from Meitei side come, the Meitei villagers will shoo them away. If radicals from the Kuki side come, the Kuki should shoo them away. But what happened was that night, I remember the next day I witnessed that by myself. Houses started burning by the other community. So in retaliation, in your word retaliation, they burned the entire Langching village. The Langching church was burned, and it really pained my heart. What logic? That's why I keep asking, at what and to what cost? Just to get a political demand, and this is a legal issue. The political demand is a legal issue. There is a legality route for it. This is not done. This is not the way to sort things out. To kill each other, to uh, you know, and to even believe, to be in that delusion that we are only at the receiving end of violence. Then who are killing the Meiteis? Are Meiteis killing themselves? Who are displacing the Meiteis? Are the Meiteis displacing themselves? It is a big question to ask. Atsum started, it was an all tribal student union rally, which was supposed to be against the Meiteis' demand of ST demand. But how come Nagas did not turn against Meitei, but only Kuki remained? And I know for a fact that even when I went to Chuchanpur, this harassment, this if you're a Meitei from Valley, you're not treated well there. I wonder if tribals also face the same thing when they come to Imphal. If that is, then it's a serious time we talk about it. Do tribals living in Imphal have to pay illegal tax to underground people? I don't think so. So there is something seriously wrong that we need to talk about the state failure and how how parallel government works in the hills.
Okay.
And what was peaceful about that rally? We all saw the rifles, the AK-47 that they were roaming around with. Come on.
Yeah, Ritu, thank you. We have been, I mean, we want to move on to the conversation now. If we keep on dragging in the, you know, past incidences, our conversation might not be able to end it. Manini raised her hand earlier. Just a short comment each. Breeze, just short comment each, and then we will try to end the conversation with the concluding remark. So, Manini, please take your time.
Okay, I would like to supplement on what Ms. Grace has put forward about forgiveness. Forgiveness, what I mean to say, it doesn't mean that the crimes has to be corrected. The crimes that the people have been corrupted, the culprits have to be corrected and get justice. That is what forgiveness. About Moses and David, I'm not sure that the Bible I'm reading and she's reading is different. Maybe I'm talking about the coming of Jesus Christ, where forgiveness is the most basic theme of how the Christian is following. And the other thing is, what I want to tell is, if we're digging on the past, that person has burned, that person has killed, then what is future? We are research scholars and we have to be futuristic. That what will be the best solution? If Nagas is asking for one nation again, Métis asks for another nation, and then Kuki asks for another nation, Pangal asks for that, and who are the Manipuris? This is my question. Okay, so every one of us has their own thought, has their own dissatisfaction, if we were to put. But in spite of all dissatisfaction, we have to join hands together. And what is the best thing? People, we talks about state failures and all. I can also put forward that is this an attitude failure on the part of the people of Manipur, because we never change ourselves. We want to change the people, to our leader to change us. But the mindset that we have is, I am Kuki, I am Métis, I'm Nagas, and I have to get that. This is the problem of it. So being educated means that we have to sit down together, discuss, and have a peaceful conversation that this is what I'm dissatisfied and this is the part I want to do. And I think this is important. Otherwise, digging on the past will continue on fighting and fighting and fighting, and the very state, Manipur, will vanish. This is my sincere comments.
Indeed, yeah, digging up the past is indeed very dangerous. Manini, I'll come back to you. Breeze, yeah, you just raised your hand. What is it that you'd like to supplement?
Um, you all were also digging about the past, so I'll just add this one, that in Imphal, before the conflict started, the houses of the cookies were marked in red colors. This is a fact. So it was before that rally. So if we are really going to dig, I still have a lot of data, but that we already know, and I feel like people already know, but they are trying to ignore it. So it's very difficult to talk to such kind of people. And after turning us into pieces, you cannot talk about peace. We have been thinking ourselves as Manipuris, we have been getting this ownership before, but since 3rd May, why were we attacked and why were we treated as foreigners or aliens? It's not like we are automatically demanding separation from the state government or this Manipur. After all these things, how can we still be administered under this biased government? The state is attacking and waging war against a particular community, and you expect us to bow down to that state government? If we all are right thinking, we should also try to look and see things through the eyes of humanity at least once.
Yeah, all right.
Let's not dig the past.
Yeah, yes, digging the past is, like I said earlier, dangerous. Let us now look forward and then see what is in store for us as peaceful communities living harmoniously together. But like we have mentioned earlier, the Kukizo community's ultimate demand is the separate administration, which is in the form of union territory with the legislature. So just before we end this conversation, this interaction, I'd like to give the time to first of all to Manini. Manini, in your opinion, what do you think are the steps to be taken up immediately by both the communities, or even including the Naga community, to help resolve this issue? Or do you think until and unless the demand for the separate administration by the Kukizo community is given, do you think this uh, conflict might keep on happening? Do you think this violence will be unable to stop? Let this be your concluding remark, Manini.
Okay, thank you. Sometimes our imagination and illusion carries us to a dreamland and wonderland, and sometimes it led us to dissatisfaction. My remark is that since the state government has failed completely, 18 months have passed, and the state government chief minister has failed completely, and therefore we're looking forward to the central government. Central government, because when there is a conflict or when there is a fight between the two sisters or two family members, it is the parents, it is the father who is the one who will bring these two brothers together and then settle the problem or conflict amicably. So I feel that it is the central government who has the authority, and the central government prime minister, in spite of his all failures. And 36 seconds he has talked about Manipur so far, but in spite of that, we respect him as a prime minister, because not everybody can become a prime minister. I respect his position, the chair of a prime minister seat, because it has been formed by the forerunners as a respected and dignified seat. I hope for sure that he will watch the news also. He will watch this talk also. For sure that if the central government hear us this 18 months cry, it is not too late for the central government to come and settle for the peace. I hope that if the father comes, and if the father is just loitering around and then not knowing who his children are, I think that father is not supposed to be called as a father. And that is the first point that I want to say. And the second point that I want to say is that the idea of othering, like James Scott has put forward, that othering in the sense that in a Manipur, we always feel that I am Kuki, she's the other. If someone Kuki kills the Métis, the Kuki don't condemn. If the Métis kills the Kukis, they don't condemn. That kind of mentality. If the Nagas kill Métis, I don't condemn it. This is the kind of ordering in our state is so much that we have to change. And for that, leadership training is very important, because leadership training in the sense that cultural exchange, where communities join together and share their identities together, and what are the differences. From there should be a paradigm shift in the perspective of the thinking of the people. That is the point. That's the third point. And the change of the attitude of the people of Manipur itself. Since the government has failed completely, people of Manipur has to think themselves that what is the best for themselves, right? Because I question myself, seriously, I question myself this 18 months, that are Manipur still part of a country, part of India? Because India has been so silent till now. And Manipur has been so blind over it. Are we still India? That is the question. Even our MP, Akwajang, has put forward that, are we still in this country? This is part of it. So we have to question ourselves that since people have denied us long ago, then what will be the best step for the state of Manipur to start forward as a Manipur? And the last final questions are the request appeal to my people, that since both the warring communities cannot come and settle together, I know for sure that forgiveness is very difficult. Forgiveness is very difficult when your own people has been died, numbers of them died. But I want to ask people who watches me, especially the mothers, to pray and to have a fasting, serious fasting. I know that Nagas, this is the work of the Nagas mothers also, to hold a fasting, and also to the others community who is watching us from outside of the state, to seriously pray for it. And I believe so much in prayer that prayer and fasting can work, and this solution can be solved immediately. And we look forward to the central government to look into this matter. Otherwise, the state government cannot able to take into control about this matter. Yeah, thank you.
Manini, thank you so much. Nicely put as your concluding remarks. Thanks a lot. Brice, I'd like to give the time to you now for your concluding remark, but I would like you to base on your alternatives. For example, like I've mentioned earlier, the ultimate demand of the Kuki-Zo community is the separate administration, to separate from the state of Manipur. In case if this separate administration is not granted by the government of India, what do you think are the solutions to end this conflict? Or do you think until and unless this demand is met by the government, do you think this conflict will keep on going? What, in your opinion, are the steps to be taken to resolve this issue? Let this be your concluding remark.
It is separate administration in the form of union territory according to Article 239A of the Indian Constitution. That is it. We cannot take anything synonymous to political justice. And about, sorry, I forgot my other fellow name.
Ritu and
Forgiveness and all.
Yeah. Manini,
Yeah.
Manini.
It's easy to preach when you don't feel the full intent of what's happening. I understand it, and we like to forgive, but there are certain things that can be forgiven and not forgiven. The Bible tells us to forgive, and there were also instances where they must fight back, and we are doing that. And it is a humanitarian crisis, and the provision of relief items and matters by the central government. The central government also should not think that the provision of relief matters and items, be it in cash or kind, are synonymous to political justice or yes, justice for us. No, it's not that. It's either separate administration in the form of Indian territory according to Article 239A, or it's nothing.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Breeze, for sharing your concluding remark. Nicely put, briefly. All right. Lastly, but not least, Ritu, your concluding remark on how to resolve this issue. Especially, I would like you to specify on the roles and responsibilities which can be taken up by the women folk, the women organizations, women leaders. As women, what do you think? As a women, what do you think could be done better in order to resolve it? Like Breeze has said earlier, it is only the separate administration which can resolve this issue. What is your opinion on this?
Um, I hope people like Breeze can also, like, just bear with me and listen what I have to say. And I say this still remembering my own relative, my neighbor, immediate neighbor, who we have lost, Lintho Ngambi. Losses are very, very difficult, and a lot of emotions come up: anger, revenge, hate, all of that. But somehow, it's also in such trying time that we still have to not lose the faith in humanity and in goodness. Um, and but I rightly agree. The only way for the Kukizo community to feel safe is to take the present government down. It's not serving anyone, and I think the government can be taken down not just by another political party, but by the people. There has to be a serious people movement that cut across all ethnicities and communities, because right now, be it CSO, be it any form of mothers association or anything, it's all ethnicized. You have Naga mothers, we have Meira Paibis, you have Kukizo mother, but where is Manipuri mother, right? So we need to, it's actually sad, like, since the time I was born, since all of us were born, like, we have never even got a chance to, like, breed out and even create a unified identity. There has always been a politics of the Meitei exclusive state making, or the Naga movement, or, like, Zelengam Kuki movement. There's that we have never got that that breeder to, like, breathe and literally think about our future, like, and imagine ourselves together, and as integrated inclusive self. So I hope that this conflict gives that opportunity for all of us to um, talk to each other, apologize. Like, I don't know, there has been a lot of such more bloody wars, even in Rwanda conflict, or but a lot of people live together. These are intimate violence done against each other, with people who have lived for so many years. So I think coming back together is difficult, but it is possible. It is possible through reconciliation, and this is where I think I would like to urge my because cookies and Meiteis are so engrossed in this violence. I think Nagas should take the lead now. Neutrality is good, but I think don't wait even for the government, because government itself is complicit in this. Government is, I be it Indian government, be it Manipur government, I feel they are part of the problem. So how can we go to the government to solve the problem which they are creating, right? So I think some neutral community like Naga should step in and talk to sensible Meitei, talk to sensible Kuki, and create that space for more dialogue to be created. And I think that is the first foremost step. And lastly, but not the least, women need to step up. And I know it comes with a lot of death threats, a lot of safety issues, risk, but we really need to take the chance, because uh, we are done serving tea. We are done cleaning up the mess of men. Yeah, this is all it's coming to my mind.
Okay. All right, Ritu, thank you so much for sharing your concluding remark. Breeze, yeah, just a couple minutes. You have raised your hand, so I'll just give the time to you.
This is a message to everyone watching or will
Yeah.
be watching that, like I say, India is the largest democratic country in the world, and more than 18 months have been passed, like without any solution to whatever undemocratic things have been happening. So it is my humble request to my fellow citizens of India as well as across the globe that your silence is the loudest, and injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. So whatever you have seen in the news and whatever, please speak up and help us get justice. And like I said, we have been torn into pieces and we cannot be here in peace under this state government. And as a citizen of India, I and my people, we have the right to demand separate administration, the form of union territory, which is granted by the constitution. If anyone still thinks us as delusional, foolish, impossible, whatever for demanding separate administration. So this is my question. We have the longest written constitution. So you are indirectly and directly telling that our constitution is a joke. And we are saying this to the central government, and I hope that they will wake up soon, sooner or later. And this is a need, not a want only, NEED need. And I really hope that when we come together, we can provide or attain justice.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much to the three of you. It's been a pleasure. And yes, many opinions have been shared. We have been enlightened. Your knowledge shared here is respected. Thank you all so much. And I believe and I hope that ladies like you will take up, be more courageous, and take up steps necessary in order to help ease the pains and suffering of the people of Manipur. And also hope and believe that through ambassadors like you, we will be able to maintain peace and harmony in this state. Yes, opinions and our ideologies, our principles might differ, but the most important thing is to have a reasoned, a rational mindset, and to come to a conclusion that we are all human beings, all lives are precious, we should love one another, and that even if we disagree on certain principles and policies, it is good to come to an agreement, to agree to disagree. If we keep on promoting enmity, promoting hate and violence, I don't think we'll be able to live in peace. So I believe and hope that respectable, educated ladies like you will be ambassadors of peace and love. Thank you so much to the three of you for sharing your valuable time, your valuable information and insight on the ongoing violence. I hope and I believe that our viewers, after listening to what you have said, will have at least something to learn from it and replicate this in their lives, in our lives. Thank you all so much once again. And also to all the viewers of this special episode, thank you for joining us. Yes, I would like to say this as a disclaimer that any opinions shared here are all personal opinions, not representing any organization or any community. These are all personal opinions being shared as a youth, as a citizen of this country, and that the burdens which we are sharing here, the burdens we have been sharing together as a citizen of this state. We're humbly sharing our opinion, also suggesting and promoting peace. So we should not take it otherwise. And also, I would like to request to all the viewers to comment sensibly, to comment responsibly whenever, whatever you comment on the comment section, kindly think twice before you comment so that it does not promote, it does not incite violence and hate, because like we have mentioned earlier, let us promote peace, let us promote love, let us promote a harmony, a harmonious environment. Thank you all so much. Your feedbacks and your suggestions are always welcome. We hope to see you in the next episode, and we hope to bring episodes on issues which are related to us, not just on this violence, but the issues faced by the youth of Manipur as well. Thank you all so much once again. See you in the next episode. Good night, everyone.